Welcome back to the Broken Ring Racing League. This is the GT3 Championship, round 4 at Road America. As you can see, we're still in practice, and we're looking at crashes. It is a wet race, folks, so there's going to be a lot of drivers going off. Every driver here so far has tested the limits of the track, and as I've been looking up and down the field, we are going to see a lot of crashes. Not even fortuitous at this moment in time. The drivers are going to have to struggle. As you see there in the back, there is Chris Stewart right into the wall. With just a couple minutes left in practice, to get you a good look at the race ahead of us. It is going to be a challenging race for some of these drivers more than others. You can see that some drivers have really found their groove in the rain. Others not so much. The track doesn't even look to be that, that bad. There's definitely a dry line forming in some areas of the track. You have some standing water towards the edges there, but nothing too severe. As we see Eddie Layton and Dylan Maroney, going side by side, and quick entry right there. Matthew Wyckoff having to, or Jeremy DeMeza having to get out of the way of that. But we're going to go look at the timing boards real quick. Trey Mistak in practice holds the fastest time with a 2-minute, 22-second .002. Almost even. That is going to be a hard time to beat, as Peter Flanner is 0.3 off. We're splitting the difference on that one, and it is 0.3 off. I'm rounding up a little bit. And then Austin McGill, another driver, he's actually 0.5 off. And then Jacob Simmons is 0.5 off again. So from P1 to P4, you have a half a second difference there. Going further down the lineup, we have P5, who's at a 23 seconds, almost even there with Aaron Myers. And then if we go further down the order, from P5 to P12 of Elliott Burton, all within the 2-minute, 23-second gap, with the 10th separating them for sure. Aaron, not a lot of drivers actually putting in 2-minute, 24-second laps. And then, again, not a lot of drivers putting in 2-minute, 25-second laps. And then you have a lot of drivers kind of mixed up in the 226s and the 227s, a couple in the 229s. It's going to be an interesting race. I think the race pace is going to change dramatically. Trey Mistak might take it away. To be fair, he is the only Ferrari. There's only 2 Ferraris in the top 10 right now. It's Trey Mistak and Aaron Myers, P1 and 5 in practice. And practice is coming to a close in just a few, and what I would assume is 2 minutes to confirm. 2 minutes of practice left. A lot of Porsches. Throughout the session, but also in the top 10. We have 5 Porsches in the top 10, which is quite interesting. 2 BMWs, 1 Lamborghini, and that rounds it out. There's no Mercedes. Chris Lambeth is P11, followed by another Lamborghini of Elliott Burton. So we're not going to see a lot of mix at the front of the field with the different varieties of cars. It's going to be probably a lot of Porsches, as Christopher Daniel gets a little sloppy on the exit there. Car just not rotating. And the back end comes out. And if we can pop back to that, we got Elliott Burton in P12. He's coming up the hill and into the corner and just slides right out of that. And we have Eric Koonsman. Ooh. Finds the barrier just before qualifying ends. Sure, we'll see who goes out on the track first. And qualifying has started. And gonna be honest, that doesn't really look right. All right, folks. Sorry about that. I was dealing with a technical difficulty there. We got Trey Mistak, who topped the charts in practice with a 222 flat. If he's able to muster up that practice lap that he did in quali, then he'll be on the top step. No one came close to his time of that 222. Peter Flander was 3/10 off, and I would say not close enough. 3/10. It's a huge margin, especially to pick up when you're already on the limits with the rain set in on the track. And this could be a really interesting qualifying. I think some factors going to play in with where your track position is, how much grip you're going to have, how much water displacement is going to occur. And quite possibly people on the back end might have a better shot just because of better dry line and just for some of the track there, but I'm not sure. I haven't seen a wet race from the commentator's perspective. This will be my first one. I could tell you it didn't make much of a difference when I was driving at Le Mans in the LMP or in the GT3. Oh, actually I was in an LMP2. And on the flyer for Trey Mistak, we'll hop on board. One of the only drivers that finished in the top 10 in a Ferrari. We'll see if he's able to put this back onto pole. And like Tony Kanaan said, you gotta find areas of the track to go on that don't have the rubber so you can actually get that grip. And we just saw that with Trey Mistak. He took an unconventional line into turn 2 there, as he's done again for this turn. Finding different areas is definitely going to help out. Not lose the rear. Just looked a little tricky there for him. And there's Chris Stewart, another fast driver who has won the sprint race, I believe, in Interlagos. Or the race. I think it was the sprint race, though. And he is just behind. That's actually a very, fine gap, 2.8 seconds. It's really not going to throw Chris Stewart's flyer off as well. Definitely a lot of space given there for some of these drivers, as others have not given any space. Popping back onto a driver cam. It's almost done with this lap, and it would be interesting to see what the prediction says for what he's going to be able to do here. And my timing sheet is not going to be correct. Okay, Peter Flanner comes across the line to take P1. Trey Mistek is at P3 with a 225.8. Jacob Simmons crossing the line in the Beans livery there. He's did a 225.5. Chris Stewart came across the line to do a 226.2. Chris Lambert did a 227. And Justin Scott in P6. Oh, Justin Scott gets overtaken by Austin McGill for P6. Dylan Maroney goes to P7. Justin Scott goes to P8. Kyle Howe into... we're going to jump on board with Elliot Burton here, who's still on his flyer. Predicted to do a 222 at the moment in time. We'll see if he's able to keep that up as the lap progresses. He's in Sector 2. Kyle Howe in P9, Eddie Layton in P10, Zachary Nerney in P11, Charles Whedon in P13, as Aaron Myers has gone second fastest in P2, Eric Koonsman in P14, Tyler Kern in P15, Joshua Heron in P16, Bryce Bombeck in P17, Eric Rodriguez in 18, Matthew Wyckoff in 19, and Gareth Ham in P20. Everyone else has not set a time. There's over 13 more drivers on the grid that are all bunched up in there, and we'll see some change in the order shortly. What I'm really curious is Elliot Burton going to put himself in the top 10? He's still predicted to do not a 222 anymore, but a 224. That's looking like a 225. If he keeps it together, this would put him in the top 5 for sure. And we'll see in just a few moments as he rounds the penultimate corner. Where can he put himself? Elliot Burton goes across the line to take P4 with a 225.8, just ahead of Trey Mistak by just margins of thousandths of a second. Now, who else on the grid is going to do something that's spectacular? And where's Steve McAllister? I just want to see is he... Ooh. I'm not sure if that's an invalidation on his lap there. I'm going to take a look. Here's Andrew Murray in the Taco Bell livery. Predicted to do... Chris Chitterling goes across the line to take P3 from Peter Flanner. And Trey Mistak crosses the line to take P1. Overtakes everybody again. He does a 223.9. Jacob Simmons in P2. Chris Chitterling in P3. Peter Flanner, P4. Aaron Myers in P5. Elliot Burton down to P6 with that. Andrew Murray crosses the line to take P6 with a 225.7. Fantastic lap for that driver as Peter Flanner is sitting in the final sector here. Just kidding. We're just sitting in Sector 2. And there's a Beans off in the corner parked there. You can't park there, mate. At a Chris Chitterling. Chris Chitterling is just behind Peter Flanner. We'll see if one of these drivers can dethrone Trey Mistak or even overtake Jacob Simmons for P2. They both did a 225.298 and a 225.403. Peter Flanner is out of this one, though. And we're going to hold this down to Chris Chitterling to see if he can overtake Trey Mistak. Drivers not mentioned that have finally put in a lap. Jeremy DeMeza in P25. Jeff Kaufhold in 26. Joshua Heron in P22. Elliot Burton crosses the line to take P2 with a 224. Even. Chris Chitterling looks to be on a pretty good lap. This could be what he needs to overtake Elliot Burton. Predicted to do a lap similar to Elliot Burton. And with just a few more corners to go, is he going to be able to do it? You can see right there at the top of the header, the last lap for Trey Misdak being a 2:23.6. That is the time to beat. Jacob Simmons on a personal best. Chris Chitterling on a personal best. Previously, is he on one right now? He goes personal best for him. He goes to P3, overtaking Jacob Simmons with a 2:24.328, just behind Elliott Burton by 0.3. And I believe that's it, folks, for Chris Chitterling as he has crossed the line, and that is done. Aaron Myers doesn't have to give up just yet, though. Dylan Maroney crosses the line to take P5, overtaking Peter Flanner with a 2:25.2. Charles Whedon gets up there, and so does Christopher Daniel. Christopher Daniel to P9, Charles Whedon to P10, Darren Rutherford to P17, and Andrew Korostecki in P18, Tyler Kernan P19. Only a few drivers did not set times. Aaron Meyer crosses the line to take P3 with a 2:24.2, over just 1/10 up on Chris Chitterling. And Joshua Heron to P13. Any other driver out there on track? Looks like Steve McAllister passes a lot of drivers there. He goes to P15. Christopher Daniel crossing the line to take P5. Crossing the line. I feel like it's further down. And that will be it, folks. We have just a few. We just have Trey Mistak putting in some practice laps, or even quite possibly trying to go for a faster lap than he already has done. It looks like he's a little faster here, and it'll be interesting. He did a 2. Oh, as he crosses the line to go for a personal best, even faster than his last, a 2:22.9. His previous was a 2:23.6. That is quite impressive. With a 7/10 difference. He didn't really need to do that, but he's really gonna, I think, show up the drivers here on this this track today. And we're about to start the race. Trey Mistak in P1, Elliott Burton in P2, Aaron Myers in P3, Chris Chitterling in P4, Christopher Daniel in P5, Jacob Simmons P6, Dylan Maroney P7, Peter Flanders P8, Andrew McMurray in P9, Charles Whedon in P10, Chris Stewart in P11, Austin McGill in 12, Joshua Heron in 13, Simon Witten in P14, Steve McAllister in 15, Justin Scott in 16, Zachary Nerney in P17, Chris Lambeth in 18, Darren Rutherford in 19, Andrew Korostecki in 20, Tyler Kern in 21, Kyle Howe in 22, Eddie Layton in 23, Jeremy DeMeza in 24, Eric Koonsman in 25, Bryce Bombach in 26, Eric Rodriguez in 27, Jeff Koffold in 28, Matthew Wyckoff in 29, Garrett Ham in 30, Will Coffey in 31, Noah Hoskinson in 32, and Ian Baker in 33. Those last three on the grid did not set a time. That's why it's just been auto set for them. And we are a couple, about 20-something seconds away from the start of this race, or the formation lap at least. And there's something that's got to be said for the Ferrari. Trey Mistak in P1, Aaron Myers in P3, and Andrew McMurray in P9. I said this was going to go to the Porsches because in practice there was 6 Porsches in the top 10. But as it stands, we have 1, 2. We have 3. So it's split. With the Ferraris and the Porsche in the top 10. 2 Lamborghinis, mind you, and only 1 BMW. And Christopher Daniel in the Mercedes AMG. But just outside the top 10, you have Porsche, Mercedes, Porsche. And some more Porsches. Gonna be tough to get by some of these drivers. And we're still waiting for a couple on the grid to stack in. While we wait, Christopher Daniel had a little bit of a moment in qualifying. Or I don't think it might be a moment. He could have just stopped the car. Sometimes the telemetry just says it's a crash even though he stopped. And it looks like he just pulled over to the side there. Same with Steve McAllister. But let's go to Jeremy DeMeza as he crosses the line. Maybe he ends up crashing here. But no. Not much. Not much of a crash there. Aaron Myers. Did he crash? He stopped his car. And there's another one that's not going to be... Oh, Dylan Maroney. Did he crash? He stopped his car. You know what? I can't trust any of these until we get to this track. And here we go. Trey Mistak already ahead. With Elliott Burton in P2. Oh. What a bad angle. And there goes Aaron Myers still holding P3. Chris Sugarling in P4. Jacob Simmons in P5. Christopher Daniel in P6. Peter Flanner in P7. He's up one position so far. Back further in the pack. Is anyone having to worry? Oh, we got a 2 wide here. That's Charles Whedon. Chris Stewart just ahead with Austin McGill in the Rexy Porsche. That green Rexy Porsche. Who's it going to go to? It looks like Austin McGill is going to get ahead to take P11. That's one position for him. Down 2 positions for Charles Whedon. Is there anybody sliding here? I think we're all good on the opening lap here. Whoa! And we are not good. We are not good. Kyle Howe is definitely one of the drivers that had a little spin. And on his own, he misses the barriers, but he's going to have to worry about that as he comes back onto the track. And Austin McGill up 2 positions. Chris Stewart is out of this. What happened there? Chris Stewart was in P11 at the time. Oh. And there's a spin for him. Oh, and it's a couple of drivers that have been... Ooh! That is a lot of drivers off the track there. One person loses a fender there. Gareth Ham, not possibly involved in this, but a spin on his own maybe. As he's going through, he stops. He's having to maneuver around this. Eric Rodriguez, quite possibly not involved, but having to... Ooh! It was a pileup. And where did the pileup start? We got Justin Scott here. He was in the Liquid Moly, and he spins, having bumped into another driver. Chris Stewart's still off, and then he can't move. And then it's just a game of bumper cars at this moment. What an unfortunate event for all these drivers. Back at the top of the grid here, we still have Trey Mistak at P1, Elliott Burton P2, Aaron Myers P3. The gap has widened just a little bit, but oh no, is there another driver off? And we knew with the wet race it was going to be tricky. And there's Andrew McMurray in P9 at the time. Slides. Oh, and just avoids the Rexy Porsche. And he is back on. No foul there. Liv Moss. He's going to have to live more in the next coming laps to really gain back some positions. And down to P16 from P11 there. That's down 7 positions. And there's Eric Rodriguez on the inside. Eric. Ooh. I want to say that was Joshua Herron in the 215. And then Jeff Koffold, using his experience, has gotten past as well. That's 2 drivers overtaken right there. And Jacob Simmons looking pretty strong in the BMW Beans. He is P4, up 2 positions from the start of this race. Peter Flanner up 2 positions at the start of this race. He's P6. Looking further back, we have Zachary Nerney in the 310. It's just behind that Andrew Korostecki. Whoa! And he is off the track. And he'll have to really do a 3-point turn on that one. Maybe he can spin the rear there. And he's just going back on track. I think at some point that's going to be a disqualification. No, he's good. That is unfortunate. And here's Dylan Maroney. Sends it hard there. And that was not on purpose. I can assure you that, but that is a lot of positions lost. It's down 9. Was in P8. And that is going to be a hard pill to swallow there. As Austin McGill has inherited P8 from a couple of driver errors. The Rexy Porsche doing just fine. He's just got to keep it together. He's up 4 positions at the start of this race. And down further back in the field, we have Noah Hodgkinson and Kyle Howe, who's going to make out in the turn 1. It looks like Noah's going to back off and leave that. Ooh. As it gets a little squirmy there onto the grass. And a lot of drivers on their last lap up there at the top of the leaderboard have improved on the last lap. Green meaning it's a personal best for them from the previous. Gray meaning not so much. If it's purple, that is the fastest driver on the grid for this moment in time as it springs through to let you know where people are out on track. And here's Simon Witten up 4 positions into P10, followed by Charles Whedon ahead of him in P9, up 1 position. And there's Dylan Maroney off the track again, not a crash this time, but lost a couple positions due to that. Chris Lambeth, another driver to be thinking about here in his roll bar. Let's go on board. Let's take a look in the action here. It is difficult to see, but there are some brake lights there. Ooh, and he's just squirming there on entry as he noticed a little bit of a speed difference as he was coming closer to Simon Witten, just ahead of him in the blue Porsche. And Charles Whedon in that light green Porsche. Chris Lambeth is up 7 positions, and just behind him is Andrew Korostecki, who has shifted to the 4GT, one of the only driver on the grid to be in a 4GT, and I'm kind of partial to this. It looks beautiful. Maybe not so much the livery, because it looks like he is a student driver. But you gotta hand it to the Americans. Not a whole lot to leave on the dash. Just a couple of buttons, because who needs one of those fancy wheels when you got a couple buttons? Maybe that's why Andrew Korostecki picked it. Can't read in the mind of a driver there. But he is just 1.2 seconds back on Chris Lambeth. Up 8 positions. Behind him is Tal Kern in a Ferrari 296. Who's up 8 positions. Peter Flanner. Ooh, look at that. Just ahead of him is Christopher Daniel, and that looked to be a little squirmy for Christopher Daniel in the car number 92. Peter Flanner, car number 63. Ooh, bad exit there for Christopher Daniel. I don't know if that's going to make room for Peter Flanner to make a move through the carousel we go. and just take a look to the inside, but not really a point there. But maybe he's going to make something happen. The only difference is half a second here between these two drivers. One of the closest battles on the grid right now. And then further back, there's there's Matthew Wyckoff ahead. This is Noah Hodgkinson trying to get through some traffic. He is sitting P22 at the moment. There's a couple drivers behind that are also battling it out there. And that is Bryce Bomback and Jeff Koffold battling. And is Justin Scott going to have a go? They're almost going too wide there. And as you can see in the mirror there. Oh. Yikes. We'll take a look here on board with Gareth Ham, who just loses on the entry there. But Noah Hodgkinson battling it out with just loses the rear. Not much problem. Oh, just gets hit. Not much of a crash. Looks like a vehicle still okay there. Okay, and on to another one here. We have Joshua Heron. Ooh! I'm not even sure I caught that correctly. Well, back in on entry. Oh. Joshua Heron down several positions from that. He was P21 at the time. He has dropped down to P27. Even worse case on this. From the start of this race, he is down 14 positions. The wet rain has really caused some dramatics. We can see a driver who's off the track there in the background behind Kyle Howe and Christopher Daniel. I'm not sure I handle this one. We're going to go back a little bit. Christopher Daniel was P5 at the time. Whoa! And two drivers go wide through that. That was Peter Flanner and Christopher Daniel, who both kind of see themselves to the edge of the track there. And then some into the wall. But they're going to pick this back up. P6 and P7 for them. Not much of a difference. Peter Flanner's still up 2 positions. Christopher Daniel's down 2 positions. And then here's Andrew McMurray trying to make a move on Tyler Kern. They're separated by 0.2. But this is Ferrari v Ferrari. Is he going to make a move down the straightaway into turn 1? Don't think so. Just follow. And that is an Andrew Korostecki who is dropped out of this race. Lost it on entry, I think. We'll take a look at that in just a second. We have Jacob Simmons, who was in the top 5. He's still P8 at the moment. But looking at Jacob Simmons here in the beans. Oh! What? That is not even on him at all. Just looking at this again from Darren Rutherford. Taps the grass just slightly, if you noticed. And they went bowling. And Andrew Korostecki, the student driver for the 4GT, on the curbing he goes, and there goes the rear wing. And that is it for his race. Now, it can be said that Chris Lambeth, Charles Whedon, and Simon Whitten, who have inherited just one place each. Simon Whitten up 5 positions from the start of this race. Is P9 right now. Charles Whedon P10. Chris Lambeth P11. Not a single thing has changed amongst these drivers since the start of this race where they placed themselves. And Andrew, ooh, McMurray goes off. He was trying to make a move on Tyler Kern, and he is going to have to lose some positions off that. We'll see Chris Stewart try to claw back some spots as he had started in the top 10. And actually, no, Chris Stewart didn't start in the top 10. Started outside the top 10. He was P11. Not much of a change for him, I guess. Yeah, go on board with Aaron Myers, who's 2/10 off of Elliott Burton, who's in P2. Trey Mistak running a clinic on this race as he has had no incidents so far. He is sitting ahead by 3 seconds to the driver in P2, and another 3.6 to P3, who's just behind Elliott Burton. 6 tenths, 7 tenths difference here. And then maybe something's going to happen here as Chris Lambeth is been closer than he has ever been. And they're going to go too wide, and he overtakes him. And that's a position for Chris Lambeth over Charles Whedon. All right, folks, back to some crashes here, and we have Zachary Nerney. Oof, finds the barrier. Oh! And loses the rear. And that is Joshua Heron, who inherited the unlucky fortune of being around that driver when that happened. And that is a T-bone. Not the steak, folks. Christopher Daniel here loses it on entry. The rear is just gone. It's off track on that one. We'll pop over to Steve McAllister, who's sitting in P30 at the moment. Ooh. That is just an incident, not a crash. Then popping over, we have Matthew Wyckoff. I'm kind of curious and see what this one's all about. Oh. You know, he's just cooling off his tires. There's the grass. Noah Hodgkinson gets by Justin Scott. That is a position for Noah Hodgkinson. Able to make something happen here off of Matthew Wyckoff's mistake. And the answer is not yet. Oh. Alright. Nothing's happened just yet. Kyle Howe is P22. Loses a position. And he has gone off. Misses the barrier. And he's just going to lose one spot to the driver coming up on his back. And that actually is not the driver. Those are all lap traffic. But we got Andrew Korosteki's back out there. And they repaired his rear wing. He is P29, and he had a little bit of an incident, so it says. We'll see here, and I can't say that was much of anything. He's doing fine since they repaired that giant wing. It looks way bigger than the other ones on the track. Jesus. And we got another driver, Jeff Coffold, who was seating P21 at the time in the Valhalla Racing, and finds the barrier pretty rough. And he has gone off completely. And to the pits he goes. Matthew Wyckoff in the back there. Just goes to the back. And he's still there, though. Just a brief touch to Justin Scott. Lost his braking point. And they're going to call that a little bit of a crash, but I wouldn't say that's not so much. There's two drivers. Oh, he has Austin McGill and Jacob Simmons battling out for P6. As Jacob Simmons overtakes him on the start-straight finish. And Austin McGill in the Rexy Porsche. Maybe he's going to try to respond here. Really going after those puddles that are formed on the outside of the track there. He is really right there on his bumper. Is something going to happen? Is he going to dart into the inside? No, he is not. We pressure the driver to make a mistake. Still a great battle on our hands. Ooh, you can see there in the back, people are having struggles on the getting back onto the power. Going up the hill there, and that is Christopher Daniel, who had a little bit of a sway. But in a wet race, say that about everybody on the power. So many interesting lines that have formed outside the actual track and onto the sand or grass. Reminders of other people's mistakes. Ooh, Austin McGill finds the grass there on the left rear. Able to keep it alive. And he is kind of bleeding further and further back. And we'll pop over to Steve McAllister, who's kind of on his own here. He's got Zachary Nerney behind him, 2 seconds, and with that spin, Zachary Nerney is going to inherit a position, and it's just going to have to wait for some of these drivers to get out of the way. And it looks like Chris Lambeth has found some speed. There's Simon Whitten ahead of him in the blue Porsche. He's going to go to the inside. Is he going to stick it down the inside and make it happen for turn one for this pass? They are almost side by side, but it looks like the Porsche is going to get ahead. No need to give him room there. And Simon Whitten holds on to P9 for the moment. And we're going to hop over to Aaron Myers, who's now closer than he's been for a while to Elliott Burton. They're separated by 0.3. Previously, there was about a 6 to 7 tenths difference. Not much has changed out of the top 5. Besides Peter Flanner, who's up 3 positions to P5. Jacob Simmons is just behind him in P6, who has not changed a single position since the start of this race. But he actually had to claw back some positions. And this battle is... Ooh. Not yet over. I think Elliott Myers is... got the weight of Valhalla Racing, 2 Valhalla Racing teams on his back, as 2 of them are sitting in the pit lane. I'm not sure if they've dropped back out with their damage. You can see Trey Misek still ahead by 3.6 seconds to Aaron Myers here. and going down the start straight finish. Is he going to have the ability to attack him right here? I don't think so. That not before the braking zone. He is getting closer. He looks to see get a clear picture of the braking zone, that's for sure. As there he goes. A little unsettled on the exit. They're still closer than they've ever been. There's 2 tenths separating them. Is this the moment that Aaron Myers tries to make a move on Elliott Burton for P2? We got a lot of laps left to go, but this could be it. Oh, Elliott Burton is keeping to the inside. And what a defense. That was a lot of pressure that Aaron Myers was putting on him, and a great defense keeps it there, doesn't leave the room open on the inside. Trying to pass on the outside there in that corner might not have been possible, even if you're brave on the late brakes. It's a wet race. Who knows? You could just spin yourself out and hand Chris Chitterling a spot, or a position there. And we're jumping on board with Noah Hodgkinson, who separated 1/10 to Eric Rodriguez. And this is going to go to Eric Rodriguez still. Exiting the carousel. Maybe he will make a move. That was not the carousel. It's turn 1. Or turn 2. You know, we'll make mistakes. Noah Hodgkinson gets ahead of him. A move that was similar for Aaron Myers, but Elliott Burton defended and stayed in on the inside line. And we can see there's a difference there. Noah Hodgkinson gets by. He is able to do so. And Aaron Myers is ahead of Elliott Burton. And I'm just going to play that back for the viewers at home, and I want to see myself here, is what was the thing that happened. He stays on the... Oh! Aaron Myers was able to get to the inside, brake, and get ahead, and that's how he was able to take that position. And what a move for him. Is Elliott Burton going to be able to respond going onto this straight? And is Aaron Myers going to show us the same tactic and stay on the inside going into this corner? He is not as close as Aaron Myers was to him, so I don't think he has to worry too much about defending there at this time. But Elliott Burton right now has been keeping on pace with Aaron Myers. Ooh, he gets a little unsettled and he's going on the inside. Does he have it? Oh, there was a moment for Aaron Myers. And Elliott Burton gets right back to P2. And a move that looked brilliant for Aaron Myers last lap. Now he has to concede this lap to Elliott Burton, who he's been chasing down for P2. And that's got to have a little bit of frustration, as that slight unsettlingness onto the power is what the difference was in that corner between these drivers. Is he going to try to do it again on the inside line? They are side by side. And he goes through for the moment. And this battle has been going on for several laps now. And just maybe, Aaron Myers has cemented his position in P2 if Elliott Burton is unable to maintain the draft and stay within that reach. He was 3/10 on him last lap, and he was able to close it down into Sector 2. Is he going to be able to do that again? And just like a slight difference, I think he's losing just a tenth or two on Aaron Myers. Only time will tell. And every driver in the top 12 has not gone into the pit lane just yet. Chris Lambeth in P14 has, so he's going to gain some positions here soon. And I think... Oh. There's Noah Hodgkinson, who's sitting in P12. That's a 19-spot difference for these drivers. Oh my gosh. And we're going to pull it back just slightly. They're almost side by side going through that corner. And this is the move. Elliott Burton was able to accomplish something on the last lap. And he goes through. And he retakes P2. Whoa! And there's a Steve McAllister just ahead of him who's gone off the track. That's got to separate things a little bit. And Aaron Myers going to make a move again. He don't think he's as actually he's just as close as he was last time, but I don't think the room that he's not there yet, folks. Not there. And he's going to have to concede the position for this moment. And it looked like Aaron Myers really had it into Sector 1 3 or 4 tenths difference from the last time, but unable to continue that strong attack. But look at him go. He's going to stay out there. Elliott Burton is in P2 at the moment. Provisionally, he could finish P2 if he just see where it shakes up. Jacob Simmons is on the track right now. He's already gone in the pit lane to serve his mandatory pit stop. He's in P8. Where can he finish? Or where can he get some positions here? Elliott Burton is still in the pit box. Where is Jacob Simmons? Jacob Simmons is drifting into the penultimate corner, actually, and saves it like a champ. And I'm glad we were able to catch that, because he is down the start straight finish. Elliott Burton is going to be going back out on track, so he's not worried about that. But where's Chris Chitterling? Chris Chitterling is back on the track. Peter Flanner's back on track. Christopher Daniel is P6. He is still in the pit lane. And there goes Jacob Simmons ahead. And he's going to inherit a couple positions. And he goes to P6 over Austin McGill in the Porsche Rexy. And Christopher Daniel in P8. Both lost out some time there on their pit stop. So good move by Jacob Simmons, who previously had one of those pit stops that you want to forget. Just ran out of gas. It's not great. Oh no, what happened here, folks? We're going to go back to the replay here, and there's Simon Wynn. Oh! Chris Lambeth goes bowling in strike one to Simon Witten, and that is unfortunate. These drivers were P10 and 11, and he's going to get back there on track. There goes Chris Stewart. Charles Whedon, who gets ahead of him. In that order where it was Simon ahead, Chris Lambeth, and Charles Whedon just swapped completely. And that's unfortunate, folks. Jaco Stecky here in the Ford GT, the only Ford on the track and just a little too much speed, and oh, he's just pulled off the track and called it. Addy Layton in P23 just loses right there in the rear. It's cold tires. He has just gone in the pit lane, so this is his out lap. Gotta remember that, folks. I think Simon Witten is gonna... Ooh. What? Oh. So Trey Missack re-inherits P1. Elliott Burton is in P2. Aaron Myers, who stayed out late and went into the pits, he is in P3, but now has a 3.5 second gap to Elliott Burton. These two drivers are battling really strong for several laps, and now there's a big gap formed there between these drivers on the pit stop. I think Elliott Burton called this right. He went in quick, and he doesn't have to worry about that. This is Eric Rodriguez. He's also serving his mandatory pit stop, and then he's going to get lose a lot of positions here. He'll probably drop back down. See where Noah Hoskinson is in P16. He's going to inherit a position here to go to P15. Oh, no. Go to Kyle Howe here, who's in P21 at the moment. And disappears. Reappears to have spun. Jeremy DeMeza in P18 disappears and reappears into a wall. And Simon Witten, who was in P12 at the time, he has just spun it on the penultimate corner. And it's down to P13 for him, which is still looking good, because at the start of this race, he started P14, so he's up one position. I think that's the best way you can look at it. Noah Hodgkinson, who's sitting P15 at the moment, is still 16 positions up from the start of this race. Started in the back, and he's made his way to the mid. And he's still got room to improve. He's got Tyler Kern ahead of him by 9 seconds. And let's see what Tyler Kern did wrong. He lost a little bit of time. 3 seconds. I was saying it was a 9-second gap, and now it's changed. Oh. And I think I cursed Noah here as he, Ooh! That's just a fat lock up there. And another driver off it as well in that endeavor. Noah Hodgkinson down to P17. But, hey, he could make up a position right here. Eric Rodriguez is on an outlap. Gareth Ham is just ahead of them, and he is in P24. And here's Noah Hodgkinson down the inside on Eric Rodriguez, and boom, he goes through. And I think that's said and done, and that is a blue flag for Gareth Ham. I think he's going to concede both the positions there and let both drivers by. He did so. Lose a position, but gain it right back. They're racing. We're going to look at Trey Mistak, who's, like I said, putting on a clinic for the others to see. He is sitting in P1 with a 3-second gap to P2. Elliott Burton just behind in P2. Ahead of Trey Mistak is Jeremy DeMeza, who is in P... Not 19, like it says on the radar there. It's... Where is he? Jeremy DeMeza is P21. And he's 1.2 seconds ahead Eventually, that driver is going to have to bounce out of the way for Trey Mistack, but not at this moment in time, as long as he keeps pushing. But P21 means that Trey Mistack has overtaken on 4 drivers so far that are still on the grid. That's Eddie Layton coming out of the pits there. Elliott Burton in P2. There's Aaron Myers in P3. Chris Schitterling's actually pretty close in, only half a second off, or 1 second difference there, 9/10. Peter Flanner up 3 positions from the start of this race in P5. This is going to be a great result for him, as he's had nothing but bad luck from some of these races previously. Interlagos is a big example of that one. Put him all the way at the bottom of the grid, having qualified in the top 5 and not really able to see that through. We have Chris Stewart here in P11 on Charles Whedon, and they are closer than they've ever been. There's a 3/10 difference here, and he's actually closing that gap even closer. It's 2/10. Is he going to try to stick it in on the inside here into turn 1? He does. It's not. Actually, no. Charles is giving him a little bit of space almost. Nobody's going to do it on this next corner. And through goes Chris Stewart on Charles Whedon. Just in the background is Dylan Maroney. Is Charles going to try to make a move to attack again? I don't think so. It looks like he's just going to try to stay within reach. Can hope and wait for a mistake. Yep. We got back onto, we got Jacob Simmons here, who's in P6. Kind of in a race of his own. He's got Peter Flanner 15 seconds ahead of him. Behind is Austin McGill 7 seconds behind of the Porsche Rexy. But he's got Christopher Daniel 3/10 off of him. So unlike the driver ahead of him, he's actually got to worry about this Mercedes AMG, who's going to be stronger on the straight. If Christopher Daniel gets a good exit on the start straight finish, is he going to be able to challenge Austin McGill for P7? I don't think so. Not just yet. He's closing in on him, but not at a rate which he would get to have a 2 wide onto turn 1. As you can see, he's not quite there yet. Steve McAllister is just ahead in P25 in that blue Ferrari. Is Austin going to try to use lap traffic to his advantage? Nah, I don't think Steve McAllister is going to try to get out of the way, try to make an issue for both drivers. Ooh! And he gets ahead of Steve McAllister, but now Christopher Daniel's going to have to do the same. Ooh, he actually... That's a very respectable thing for Steve to do. He does it midway through the corner. Not much time was lost, but I would say at least a significant amount in comparison to the battle they're having. Just a little bit rough on exit. And there's Steve McAllister in the background there and has gone off. But props to Steve for making the move, allowing these 2 drivers to battle it out again. But the difference, I would say, now is that Christopher Daniel had an issue on the exit of that corner back there before the carousel, and he is down 1.2 seconds back now. Was 3/10. He's going to have to call that back at some point. And here is Chris Chitterling, 3/10 back to Aaron Myers for P3. And we have the white flag. So this race is about over. He's got one lap to do it. Is he going to be able to do it? Ooh, he's getting really slippery here. And there is a driver of Jeremy DeMeza not causing an issue for these two. They are separated by nothing right now. Chris Chitterling is right on the bumper of Aaron Myers. Is Aaron Myers going to try to stay on the inside? Is Chris going to try to go for the outside? No, he doesn't try to go for the outside. He just tries to get a good entry into the apex. Did Aaron Myers... Oh, it looks like he's really catching him here. And he is on the defensive. And look how close Chris Chitterling really is on the rear there. Is this battle in hand? Who's going to make out on top here? Is Aaron Myers going to be able to keep it together? He's just got one full sector to go. Out of the carousel they go. This is for P3. It is almost certain, if there's not a crash, Trey Mistak and Ellie Burton are going to take P1 and 2. And he has lost out about 2/10 in the last couple of corners. He's going to have to pull off a miracle here. I don't think there's really going to be a move. And we'll pop on board in just a second as we have Trey Mistak on the penultimate corner. He's going to be taking P1. And just behind, going up the hill, it looks like it's going to go to Aaron Myers here. There's Elliot Burton in P2, Aaron Myers in P3. Chris Chitterling tried to go for something right there. Was unable to make it happen. He's P4. Peter Flanders, P5. Jacob Simmons is going up the hill right now. He's going to be taking P6. Austin McGill in the Porsche Rexy is going to be in P7. Christopher Daniel in P8. Chris Lambeth, known around him, he's going to be P9. Chris Stewart up one position from the start of this race. It looks like he's going to be taking P10. Dylan Maroney just behind. 4 positions lost at the start of this race. Unfortunate for him, but he's going to be finishing P11. More than likely. Charles Whedon in P12. And Simon Witten to P13. Tyler Kern up 7 positions at the start of this race to P14 for him. Justin Scott going through the penultimate corner. He's going to be taking P15. Eric Rodriguez, known around this driver, he's going to be taking P16. And Eric Koonsman in P17. Just behind him is Noah Hodgkinson, up 13 positions off the start of this race. And that's going to be P18 for him. He's got a couple more, definitely a lot more corners to go. But Bryce Bombach back there in P19, who's in Sector 2. And we got Jeremy DeMeza. Actually, is going to finish P20. Kyle Howe in P21. Zachary Nerney in P22. Gareth Ham, who we're looking at going up the hill right now, he's going to finish P23. Eddie Layton, P24. Steve McAllister is P25. Andrew Korostecki is P26, 4 laps down. Jeff Kaufhold in P27, 5 laps down. Matthew Wyckoff in P28. Andrew McMurray in P29, Joshua Heron in P30, and Darren Rutherford in P31. That was a wild race. And it isn't called Broken Wing Racing League for nothing. There were a lot of broken wings. There were a lot of off tracks, a lot of crashes, a lot of incidents, a lot of bumper cars, some T-bones. That's wet racing, folks. And this has been round 4 at Road America. Thank you for joining me, and congrats to Trey Mistack for putting on that clinic and finishing out in P1 after starting pole and really just bringing it home. Elliott Burton, great defense off of Aaron Myers, holding that on. Chris Schitterling almost had something there on the last lap on Aaron Myers, but it didn't quite stack up. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and we'll see you next Sunday for round 5.